1,000 passing yards, 35 combined touchdowns, 14-3 record in the regular season, likely a top 2 finisher in the MVP voting this weekend. Maye can add Super Bowl champion to that list of accomplishments. Here's Maye last night on his mentality heading into the big game on Sunday.
I'm concern-free. I'm going into this game, worried about my play and how I can play best for this team. And that's whatever I can do to come out with the win, and it doesn't matter. I know I got to try to play well for us to win, and our defense has been playing great all year. So big trust in what they do, and big trust in that we're going to have a great plan on offense and execute it. There's a big enough gap to where the legacy and what the Patriots did in the past, it's time for a new era. I think we're embracing it, and Coach Vrabel and what we're trying to build here is something that we're buying into. I wouldn't say it's daunting. I think it's rewarding.
You've won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, haven't you?
I did.
What's at stake for Drake Maye this weekend?
I think to what his point is, a lot of the conversation will be centered around the class of quarterback that he will potentially elevate himself into with a win. We start to compare him and put him in that elite category. The same question we asked of Sam Darnold. To me, I look at this Drake Maye, what's on the line is he mentioned the previous regime and the previous dynasty that came before him. Drake Maye winning a Super Bowl in his second year, potentially a Super Bowl MVP if he performs well on the biggest stage. Now the conversation for him, you start to compare, you start to bring up the Tom Brady and the dynasties. Not that he's there, but that he potentially can chase down and try to do some of the things that came before him. So when you talk about what's at stake for a second-year quarterback, the second youngest quarterback to start in an NFL since Dan Marino, when you have those type of feats early on, when you've taken your team where nobody expected at the beginning of the season, with a head coach in his first year there with the team, a brand new offensive coordinator, you start to look and say, well, damn, Drake Maye hasn't even reached his full potential of where he can take this football team. This is only 1 year within the rebuild. So I think that's where the conversation starts to go, where now we're looking at Drake Maye and say, well, wow, within that 2024 class, he is now the best, but where can he go beyond that with this team, especially when you look around their division and what potentially can come. The Jets is a team that is constantly in a rebuild. Miami just hired a new head coach, and so did Buffalo. We just talked about what's going on there. So I think for Drake Maye, this could be the start of something that nobody anticipated in August when training camp was starting.
Say.
Well, I would say this to you, J. Mac. Could you please be a bit decent to the football world by not mentioning the Miami Dolphins in this discussion? I mean, they've been irrelevant in the postseason since the turn of the century. I mean, they've been that irrelevant for that damn long. There's a lot to rave about Miami, just not their football team. You know, okay, not their pro football team. Okay, let's get that out the way.
Different show, though.
I will tell you that I'd be very interested in seeing if Drake Maye were to win a Super Bowl, the AFC East would suddenly become incredibly interesting because of what's going on in Buffalo and what they would have to usurp in order to get to the prominence that they aspire to reach. So I like it that way. But I think the way to look at this, Jeff Saturday, is that Drake Maye's playing with house money. Yeah. When you look at him being in the second year in the league, then winning 14 games, clearly led by their defense, that being sort of reminiscent of what it was like when Tom Brady first took over, many, many years ago. I think those things, I mean, the only hiccup is that you draw the comparison to a Tom Brady because obviously the defense was leading the way and he didn't get in the way and he continued to grow and evolve and ultimately, elevate into the extraordinary leader that he was. Drake Maye has an opportunity to do that. But when you're looking at the playoffs numbers right now, I'm just looking at it, 3-0 record for sure. Only completed 56% of his passes, throwing for 178 yards a game, 6 fumbles, lost 3 of them, 5 total turnovers, 15 times sacked in the 3 playoff games, 5 each game, and a passer rating that dipped from 113.5 during the regular season to 84 in the playoffs. So you're looking at him in their offense, and you know that the Seattle Seahawks is the superior team. If you lose, okay, you lost to the better team. And you lost to a team that has, as great as your defense is, they're the number 1 defense in the National Football League. And you might have been bereft of the weapons necessary in Butte and Booty and Diggs and those guys, as good as they are. You know what? Going up against Seattle defense might be asking a bit too much. If you lose. If you win, wow, you pulled that off. Sky's the limit. And suddenly, like you said, J-Mac, there are those Brady comparisons in terms of what potentially could be. But he has very little to lose and an extraordinary amount to gain. That would be my answer to this question.
Yeah, this is massive for me. I think where Drake Maye sits is he sits right at the cusp. By winning this, it would put him in the Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady starts of career. And I'll say this about it, even when you're trying to compare the Tom Brady thing, if you look at what Drake Maye has done this season, now I understand the playoffs have been subpar compared to the season, but his season, this guy's an MVP. Like, literally, he could win the MVP on Thursday night. And everybody's just, like, calling it in that Matthew Stafford did. Yeah. This guy went from winning 4 games a year to 14 in one season and had over 4,000 yards. He's, by the way, in the playoffs, he's faced the Chargers, the Texans, and Denver, 3 of the best defenses. So nobody's going to go up there and just light it up. And one of the games, you might as well take a half of it. And that snowstorm, ain't any quarterback going to look, light it up in Denver the way that the conditions were in that game. But I take this and say he could put himself in a different stratosphere, and that means the Tom Brady's and the Patrick Mahomes, right? Winning it, and the style, especially if he has a day like Sam Darnold did in the NFC Championship game. He goes out and throws for 250 or 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, has some kind of performance. Yeah. Now you're putting him in a class that, again, it takes him out of the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, because he has won a Super Bowl, and he did it so quick. The second youngest quarterback in the history of our game, Marino and Maye. Man, you talking about elite company. When I look at him, I think he has so much to gain from this opportunity. And again, I agree with Stephen A. Like, if you look at the rosters, you would say Seattle, has the advantage here. But man, the way Maye has played in the season leading up to the playoffs. By the way, y'all, he's got 2 rookies at the left side of his offensive line who have not played well. Part of why his numbers are down in the playoffs is because of what Stephen A. said. 15 sacks, that's 5 a game, y'all. That's a lot of hits. I don't care what quarterback is playing. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. You hit quarterbacks, it changes them. And the injury that he had, there's a lot going to that, Stephen A.
J-Mac, I'll give you the last word. And I appreciate that soliloquy Sergeant Friday just went on. I just got to get on him about something. I don't mean to sound like Mad Dog Russo here, but take it easy.
No, sir. No, sir.
Hold on, let me hear my point. When you brought up Dan Marino, that's where you lost me. I had to punch it up again just to make sure I remembered correctly. Dan Marino, in his second year, threw for 5,000 yards in the 80s. Yeah. I mean, this ain't I'm not to call the NFL soft, because we would never call the NFL soft, but compared to what it used to be in the 80s,
500 yards.
Dan Marino threw for 5,000 yards, and on top of it all, 48 touchdowns. So, I mean, no. Don Shula never gave him a defense. That was Dan Marino throwing the Super Duper and Mark Super Duper and Mark Clayton and those boys. Watch your tongue,
no, sir.
Sergeant Friday. You can't compare that
filibuster right now. You're filibustering right now. If he wins it, Dan Marino didn't win it. You're taking a separation from him because he would. This is all going on if he wins it, not just getting there. We're gonna have that. If you go win the Super Bowl, you do get put in a different category that unfortunately Marino's not in. Stephen A. I don't care what year it is.
But you were talking about the second year in the league, and I'm like, it's 2